Simon Hill, there's definitely been a lot less talk coming out of the Wanderers this season, despite one of the biggest squad overhauls that you could ever expect to see. Can Mark Rudan end this vicious cycle? New coach, new players, same disappointment for the fans every year, it seems.
Well, that's a $64 million question, isn't it? Because every year we say the same thing. Oh, they look good on paper. New coach, they'll want to play for him. And every year it's the same disappointment. So at some point they've got to break that cycle. Again, on paper, which is all we've got to go on because we haven't seen them in the Australia Cup. They went out in the playoffs last May. They've got some very good players. Lawrence Thomas, Roman Amalfitano, Oli Bozanic, Kusini Yengi, Yeni Ngbakoto, Gabriel Kleur, Brandon Borello, Milos Ninkovic, of course. You know, there's some quality players in there. But I think Mark Bosnich coined the phrase a couple of years ago that the jersey weighs heavy on the shoulders of the players because there is so much expectation and everything is there. We talk a lot about clubs having off-field issues, financial or ground problems. A stadium is perfection. There's no excuses. So it's that missing something, and so many coaches have tried and failed. At some point, somebody's got to get it right, and Mark Rudan might be the man, but I guess we'll find out. I think they've got, if I was Mark Rudan, I'll be looking at these first 6 games before the break for the World Cup. That's your mini season. They've got 4 of the first 5 at home. You get off to a flying start, you've got half a chance. So those first few games, I think, are crucial for Western Sydney.
Roy, Roots has got a big job, though. 16 new signings. How, as a former player, how do you bring a squad together when you've got that many new names and get them used to playing with each other?
Yeah, I don't know if you can. The $64 million question Simon just mentioned, I think that $64 million is Paul Lederer's money that he spent over the years on paying off coaches and players. But, they're doing it all again. They've got rid of their CEO, they've got rid of the head of recruitment, players, coaches, youth coaches. The whole lot is being changed now. So this is it. This is the big gamble. And 16 new players. You talk about, Nottingham Forest in the Premier League signed 22, 23. They're going to go straight back to the Championship. You can sign 16 individuals, but I don't think you can build a team. Certainly not quickly. Australia maybe gives you a slightly different advantage. 3-month pre-season. He's had no complications with FFA Cup. But, is there a bit too much ego put into this? Does he think that he can, bring all these players together? Or has he got the ability to back it up? I mean, he's had success at Sydney United, a little bit at Wellington Phoenix, first year at Western United, second year not so much. So, yeah, it's all on the line for Wanderers this year.
Roy, as a goal scorer yourself, when you look at this squad, and this was one of the issues for the Wanderers last year, Tom Mohamed was their top scorer with only 6 goals, and I think a couple of those were penalties. Who's going to be the man that fires 15 goals?
I don't know. And this is the problem for Wanderers for a long time, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about strikers. When I think of Western Sydney Wanderers, you think, Santalab, Mark Bridge, Labi Haliti. That's a long time ago.
Dino Krasinger. Oh no.
Yeah. But it's a long time ago, and all these big names, Bundesliga Golden Boot, and Premier League experience, and all these things that they've brought in over the years and spent big money. Nobody scored goals. Mitchell Duke came in for a little spell and was really good, but you wouldn't call him an out-and-out number 9 really as such. So this year they've signed Kripic, Bosnian. He looks like a target man for me. His goals record is not huge, and Kusini Yengi, terrific player, big presence on his day, and I've seen him against 2 of the best in Topper Stanley and Nigel Bogart, and I've seen him bully them and score a goal and bring people into play, but I haven't seen it enough. So it's a big gamble if he's going to be your number 9.
Maybe we're going to see from Kusini Yengi, and I hope so, because I agree with you. I think he's a big talent. We saw with Nick D'Agostino when he was at Brisbane, and then when he was at Perth, he was sort of in and out of the team, and maybe he just needed that coach to believe in him and put an arm around the shoulder. Tony Popovic has done that with Nick D'Agostino, and he's all of a sudden he's in the Socceroos and he's a 10, 15 goal a season man. Could that happen with Yengi?
Absolutely. He's got all the ability, and look, I hope for his sake, Mark Rudan is that type that can put the arm around the shoulder and make this guy the next great thing, you know what I mean? Because he has all the attributes. He's big, he's strong, he's quick, he can score goals. He can dance as well, which we've seen, but not enough. We haven't seen him dance enough. That's my point. But for all of us in the football industry, we all want and need Wanderers to be thriving, and they haven't for the last few years. Look, I hope Mark Rudan and his team can bring it back, because they need to be a team challenging for silverware.
The one thing I will say for Roods, I know that this has been going on for a long time now, this recruitment campaign, because speaking to some of his foreign signings, he was in touch with them at the start of this year, like talking to them and going to Paris in one case, talking about the project over coffee. It's not something that's just happened within a month or two. But one of the more interesting signings from a fan spectacle point of view, of course, Roy, is Milos Ninkovic.
Yep.
Having crossed the city, that'll make the derby interesting. He was one of Sydney FC's greatest ever players, but to be fair to Milos, probably in the twilight of his career. Why do you think they've signed him?
Yeah, for me, it's crazy on both sides. I think last year, goals and assists, very poor. I think even when he started games, Steve Corica tended to take him off, and this was a struggling Sydney team that didn't win many games. So, when I watched it, he just didn't look himself last year. You could say it's old age. I'm a big believer. Age is different for everybody. But certainly they're not getting the Milos Ninkovic of 2018, 2017. Certainly. So it's a big gamble on his part. He's burnt everything that's happened before. And he has to deliver. And, look, on his day, he's easy on the eye, and he's a great player to watch. I'm not sure he's the game changer for Wanderers, though.
Who's got the better of the deal? If Jack Rodwell's gone to Sydney and Ninkovic has gone to the Wanderers, who's got the better of the deal?
I think Sydney FC, because I think Rodwell is actually something they needed. They need somebody to do all the dirty work in front of Wilco, protect Wilco, and let Bratton play. They need to create a chance for Adam Alfandra, who again had a poor season last year. You're going back to Wanderers now. For me, Ninkovic is a luxury player, because he is such a talent, and he is a creator and a goal scorer, but he hasn't been for the last 18 months. So it's a risk, and it's an expensive risk. If it comes off, I'll be the first to pat Mark Rudan and Ninkovic on the back, but yeah, it's a concern for me. I'm not sure he's going to play the amount of minutes they need for him.